Welcome to today's show. My name is Jesse Malin and I help you make your best relationship. What do I mean entitling this YouTube video, How to Get Desire Back in Your Relationship? Am I talking about sexual attraction and excitement, or maybe enjoying your companion more, or getting back to that yearning stage that you once had when you first dated and were first married or first moved in together, right? What do I mean? And to answer that question, my answer is yes. I want to encompass all of that. I want that desire back into your relationship. All too often and too common a problem, couples, they get excited, they get married, they move in together, and then life starts to happen. Work takes over. They start growing used to each other. That yearning stage kind of ends. A lot of people call that the honeymoon stage. That comes to an end, and then people start getting used to each other. And then after that phase, if that continues to persist, then people start to tolerate each other. And many people, for them, that tolerating each other gets old and they'll get divorced. Or they'll continue to tolerate each other and go to their graves that way. But this doesn't have to be. You don't have to live in your relationship this way. Instead, you could get that excitement again, whatever that means for you in your relationship. So I'm going to teach you how to do just that, even if you are the only one in your relationship who is interested in changing it. I will teach you how to make your relationship better, how to influence your partner for change without them even knowing it, in a way that will be inviting, in a way that will make them want to change for the better on their own, and make your relationship the best it's ever been. But I have to be honest with you up front. This may not be the easiest thing to do. You are going to have to learn how to live on purpose. You're going to have to learn how to be consistent. You're going to maybe have to give or exert more energy and attention. And if that sounds like too much work for you, maybe go find another YouTube video. But if you are willing to try this experiment out and better your relationship, you can have a better relationship. And so let's get into it. The first step in bettering your relationship is to discover what is causing you frustration, what is annoying you, what is troubling you, what is maybe it's actually deeply hurting you. What are those things that are troubling you in your relationship? Get a paper and a pencil and write all these things down. Maybe it's something your spouse does, or maybe it's your current situation, or whatever it is. Write it all down. Take some serious time. Go in a place where you're by yourself. You don't want anyone else to see this, because it's not going to improve anybody's relationship with you if they're seeing all this negativity. As well as, it may be very emotional for you. This writing all these things down is going to show you the bigger picture that you have in your mind. You're going to see everything. Write every little thing down, every little annoyance, every little frustration, etc. in your relationship that you wish weren't there, that you wish you could change. Write it all down. Allow yourself to get emotional with it, and allow yourself to see the bigger picture. This will be an important step in changing your relationship. And once you have all this written down, take a look at everything. Acknowledge everything. Become aware of all of this big picture. But then do another hard thing. There's going to be two hard things here. First, you're going to see what you do that acerbates or adds fuel to the fire that causes these frustrations. So if your spouse does something frustrating to you, what do you do in return? Write all of those things down. For every single thing, write them all down. What are your common habits or actions that you do when X, Y, or Z happen? Write those down. And then, after all of this is written down, here's probably the hardest part, or at least one of the hardest parts of this experiment. You are going to take full ownership of everything here. That might be a hard truth for people to swallow, but if you are going to learn how to create and make your best relationship, you have first got to take ownership of everything in your life. Things that are in your life are there because you allowed them to happen. You allowed them to be there. And when you accept that, that is when you take back your power and learn that, hey, you can actually create the life you want. And we will teach you how in the next few steps. But first thing, take ownership of your life. Take ownership of your relationship and everything in it, good and bad. And then, once you take this ownership, decide on one thing you would like to change. It's very hard to eat an elephant in one bite, but you can do it in multiple bites. And so you need to start with the first bite. What is one thing? If you were to think of what would be the most important thing that you would like to have change in your relationship that would make it significantly better? One thing. Once you get this and you acknowledge this and you accept that this is all you're doing, and you get that bigger picture in mind, destroy your paper. Whether one of the best ways is to burn it. Burn the paper. Let it go. You need to destroy it. Need to get rid of it in such a way that not even a little semblance of it can be read. You don't want anyone to read this. You don't want to destroy or hurt anyone else. You're here to make your relationships better. So get rid of it. Destroy it and do so in a way that is releasing. And realistically, when you do this, this should be a very relieving exercise. This is a very powerful exercise, not only to help you see the bigger picture and to take back your power, but also help you be relieved, like, you acknowledge some of this pain in your life, and just acknowledging pain is a great stress reliever. And it starts to help you see things so you can change things in your life, right? So it's very powerful. Get rid of the paper, and then we'll move on to step number 2. This next step is very, very key in understanding manipulation, motivation, and influencing. Let's talk about those first before we talk about the step. So manipulation, let's talk about this first. Manipulation comes from a contracting and negative background. Manipulation is those lower vibrations, those lower energies that people operate in. And realistically, manipulation essentially means to manage something or someone in an unfair way. That is manipulation. Usually that implies force or, causing people to feel guilty about something and make them do something that they wouldn't normally do based on how they feel. And you've helped create that, right? That's manipulation. But in talking about influencing is the other side to the same coin, except it comes on a positive aspect. I really like the quote where you can teach someone correct principles and then let them govern themselves. You're not forcing them. You're not making anyone feel bad. You're not causing them to act out of fear or anger. You are just teaching correct principles and letting them live their lives the way they will. And hopefully they make changes based on what they learn, right? And that's influencing. So you have manipulation on one side of the coin and influencing on the other side. And that brings us to motivation. Motivation. People are motivated by their own personal reasons. Everyone is motivated by their own personal reasons. You do anything you do for the reasons that you have. You don't do them because of reasons from anyone else. You do them because you want to do them. Now, you could do something out of fear. Maybe someone pushes fear on you, but you chose to let that fear be your motivator. You chose that. That was your reason. Or maybe you do something out of love because you want someone to feel loved. Well, your motivator, what motivated you to act, was your reason for love. You wanted to either feel love or express love or give love, right? And that was your motivator. No one can give that to you. Now, we can influence each other to think about these things and feel these things, but we cannot force motivation in someone. And this is a key component to understand in psychology, in your relationship, is what motivates you, what motivates your partner. So think of this. When you first got together as a couple, what made you, move in together, maybe get married together, those types of things? What caused you to do that? Love, right? You were motivated by love. You felt excited. You had many dreams. You wanted to get to know this person that you were interested even better than you are. Maybe you wanted to do things together, make love together, and have experiences together. Those types of things, those are good reasons. Those are good motivators that caused you to act, right? Why did you get together? Well, guess what? The reason you got together with your partner is the same reason they got together with you. They wanted to experience these same things. They were motivated by all of these same things, experience, love, whatever. And when you know that, when you know more about your partner than your partner maybe knows about themselves or is consciously, actively being aware of, then you can influence them for change. So how do you do that? This is how you influence someone to find the motivation to change themselves. It's called an act of love. When you give someone something that they need, when you feed someone in the way that they need to be fed, they are going to want to reciprocate that back to you. So let's use an example. Say your partner loves making love. They're crazy about making love, but you're not so crazy. You're not so excited about it anymore. You're used to each other, and it's not very fulfilling or exciting for you, right? So what happens? Because that's kind of a hardship in this makeshift scenario, it doesn't happen a lot. You and your partner don't make love a lot, right? Maybe once a week, maybe once a month, etc., something like that. Well, what's really cool and powerful is you could start giving this to them. You could start giving this act of love to them and let them have more lovemaking. Maybe you do it twice a week or 3 times a week, something like that. And at first, your partner's going to be weirded out, think you're in a mood. They're going to think that, you're just in a weird phase. They might even ask you, and if they do ask you, what are you doing? Why are you being different? What do you want? What are you trying to get? What are you trying to trick me into doing, right? Those types of things. Just simply let them know you value your relationship and you want it to be more exciting, more fulfilling, and more conducive to love. Those type of things. Let them know. And they might blow you off and say, well, yeah, whatever. You're just in a phase. But as you get consistent in feeding your partner, in doing these acts of love, they're going to see a change come about. They're going to start wanting to give something back in return because that's human nature. Most people, when given a gift that's out of the ordinary, they want to do something nice or give something nice back in return. And that's very conducive to building a positive, beneficial relationship for the two of you. That's a powerful tool. And when you know this, you can actually influence change in your relationship. This is how you create the relationship that you want to have. This is how you make your best relationship. You influence, never manipulate, your partner to give you love in return. And here's the thing, when you give these acts of love, do not ask, do not expect anything in return. Doing so will seem like you're doing one thing to get something back, and that's that will cause a fight, that will cause a negative wedge between the two of you. So don't do that. Only ask for something in return when your partner, after they see that this isn't just a mood swing or a phase. When they ask you if they can do something in return, take that one thing that you had, the thing that would be the most important thing for you to have and change in your relationship. Talk to them about that. Ask them to give that to you in return. And if you have been consistent in doing these acts of love, you are going to create true love in your relationship. You are going to create this unconditional love in your relationship. And it's going to be 2 ways. It's not just going to be one way. It'll be reciprocated back to you. And realistically, if it's not ever, reciprocated back to you in maybe 3 months' time or 6 months' time, whatever time you deem necessary, well, then maybe there's some deeper things that need to happen, and you can choose to do what you're going to do from there. But know that if you do this experiment, this is how you get desire back in your relationship. And it works a very high percentage of the time. I would say almost 90% of the time, it's very successful. Maybe not in abusive cases, although it can be, but generally, if people are living normal, monotonous lives, this is a very highly successful experiment to try. This is how you put desire back in your relationship. And notice how I said that you put desire back in your relationship. You're the one that does it. You have to be proactive. You can't just let life happen anymore. You've got to decide what you want and then be actionable towards getting what you want. And this is how you create your life. And so hopefully this has been helpful. Hopefully you can understand, get an idea of the bigger picture, become aware of it, understand that you can create your life, right? And then decide what you want to change. Decide what you want instead of what you don't want. That's a huge step. Decide what you want. And then become aware of your needs of your partner, the needs of your partner there, and feed them. That's it. Decide what you want, or maybe it helps to decide what you don't want, then decide what you do want, see what your partner wants and needs, and feed them that. And then when they want to give something back, that is when you will ask for something in return. And it's just that simple. It might be hard to implement. Some people are afraid of being used. Some people are afraid because they're not in love. And that's all right. You can spark this fire of love by doing acts of love. This is how you build love. This is how you create love in your relationship. And you can create it. You're creating every day. Every day, whether you know it or you don't, or whether you like what you create or you don't like what you create. You're creating every day. And with this information, I hope you do make your best relationship. And if you know someone who's struggling in their relationship or they wish that it was more fulfilling and exciting again, share this movie with them. Put it on your social media. we'll have the blog out here. Go to my website. It's makeyourbеstrelationship.com. Find this article and send it in an email to them. The whole reason that I started Make Your Best Relationship was because most people struggle in their relationships. And most people don't know what to do to improve them. My dream is to fill the world with this information so that people truly can make their best relationships. And you can help by getting this information out there, by sharing with your friends, by sharing with your families. And you don't have to do it in a way like, hey, you need this in your life. Just invite people. Remember to influence people, to teach them correct principles and let them live their lives, let them govern themselves. And I thank you in advance for doing this. And with that, I hope you make your best relationship. I bid you adieu.